This, my friends, this is our rebellion.
I Love Rebels. It's a one-of-a-kind title that holds a special place in the Star Wars pantheon of stories. Despite the number of Star Wars series growing yearly, Rebels still retains its popularity, and for a good reason. Regardless of whether or not you've watched any Star Wars movies, I'm here to convince you that this series is worth watching. First, I'll tell you what Star Wars Rebels is, then what exactly makes it unique among other Star Wars titles, and finally why you should watch it prior to the live-action series Ahsoka. Now, what is Star Wars Rebels? It's an animated series set in the Star Wars universe during the establishing years of the Rebel Alliance before Episode 4. It tells one continuous, self-contained, conclusive Star Wars story over 75 episodes that last 20 minutes each. It introduces a brand new set of distinctive characters to lead its narrative. Through them, you'll be introduced to this vast new galaxy far, far away.
We're a crew, a team, in some ways a family.
Each one of the crew members gets their time to shine throughout the runtime of the show, with personal turmoils that haunt each member until they're confronted and beaten. Opposing this crew of diverse protagonists is a no less compelling rogues gallery of antagonists. Some of them might be familiar to you if you've got even the slightest prior concept of what Star Wars is, but that doesn't mean you'll get lost watching Rebels as its own title, because no guest character shows up without a purposeful role in the story. The story is that of family and rebellion. Opposition to tyranny begins with the smallest acts of insurrection in the narrative's beginning. The stakes continually increase over its course until you have a full-fledged rebel alliance by the story's end. Of the weaknesses of the series, the most notable is its slow start. I advise not quitting on the series until you reach the Season 2 premiere episodes. The 16th and 17th episodes of Rebels are good at communicating to the viewer how serious the show can get when given enough time to develop its plotlines. If these episodes don't do a good job of it, then maybe Rebels isn't for you. The section of the video meant for those who haven't watched Star Wars movies ends here. Now, you may be a Star Wars fan already, and everything I've said may already be familiar ground to you. Let's go more in detail about Rebels' plot and characters in order to highlight its special traits. The main crew is a subversion of established tropes. A Jedi Master who feels inadequate in his mentorial role.
I'm not sure of my decision to train Ezra, not because of him or his abilities. Because of me. Because of who I am.
A Mandalorian who's largely individualistic as opposed to her collectivist brethren.
Your work is even more stunning.
An ace pilot captain who takes on a motherly role instead of the expected scoundrel type.
All right, kids, do mom and dad proud.
A homicidal astromech droid with temper issues. And a muscle type who has neither hair nor trouble communicating.
Let's go, Rebels.
Kanan and Hera were definitely the standout original characters. Kanan is among the top of the most well-written Jedi in all of Star Wars, and Hera is a team leader unlike anybody else.
You're both great leaders trying to help people.
Hera taught me a few tricks. She's the best around.
Furthermore, Rebels is a title that continually pushes the boundaries of the mythology of the Force.
Jedi and Sith wield the Ashlar and Bogan, the light and the dark.
I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu.
You can also witness the development of familiar plotlines from other Star Wars series, chiefly among them Mandalore and the Darksaber, as well as Ryloth, Geonosis, Mortis, etc. Fans of the Clone Wars would surely find this series delightful, as it is in many ways a sequel for it. If you watch Star Wars movies, you know who Darth Vader and Maul are. Darth Vader's involvement in Rebels is minor, yet nonetheless meaningful for the protagonist's development, as well as his own.
How do we fight him?
Fight him? Ezra, we were lucky to survive.
Maul's story has a bigger appeal. It's pretty much common knowledge that he doesn't die in The Phantom Menace. He's brought back and thoroughly developed as a broken villain in the Clone Wars, and in Rebels, his development reaches its final stage, definitely worth witnessing.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Thrawn is a legendary Star Wars character that has not shown up in any movies. He's a character from Timothy Zahn's books, which I love and would recommend to anyone, especially the ones simply titled Thrawn. This master tactician, whom nobody could outsmart, also plays a major role as an antagonist befitting the Ghost crew at their strongest in Rebels.
I study the art of war, work to perfect it, but you were forged by it.
That's how I first learned what he was truly like. And you can too. I've now read the books, and I can attest that the Rebels version of the character is authentic. If you like reading good Star Wars books, you should read Thrawn. But if you don't, you should watch Rebels. Both are good ways to get to know the character. Why should you watch Rebels in preparation for Ahsoka? There is an upcoming live-action series called Ahsoka that will show a prominent character, Ahsoka Tano, who debuted in the Clone Wars, teaming up with the crew of the Ghost, and is geared toward an audience that has watched Rebels in its entirety. That's it. That's literally all I can say without giving away what happens in Rebels, because everything about this Ahsoka show, from its synopsis to its cast, is a giant spoiler. If you want to watch this promising live-action series in a way that it was meant to be watched, and don't want to ruin for yourself the surprises of Rebels, stop whatever you're doing and go watch Rebels right now. Don't look up anything about Ahsoka until you have finished Rebels. Rebels is a title of many highs and many lows, and I always say that one may never know how good a work is until one has experienced it firsthand. Luckily, its linear storyline is not only complete, but it takes just 27 hours to get through. So why don't you give it a chance? I'm hoping to read your final thoughts down in the comments. Be sure to check out other videos on this Kandai Kirimit channel. There you could find a similar video for the Clone Wars, a general introductory guide for all Star Wars films and shows, as well as thematic edits. This has been Alim, and may the Force be with you.